Not only is it Mario's 40th year anniversary, but it's also the Switch 2 launch year. And just a couple weeks ago, we finally got a deep dive into the Nintendo Switch 2, the system itself, and some games. And we have a pretty clear idea of the rest of the year, I suppose. For Nintendo Switch 2, we have the launch lineup with Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza coming just 1 month later. And then we have a bit of an idea for the holiday season with Kirby Air Riders from Sakurai and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, as well as obviously Metroid Prime 4 and Legends ZA being kind of assumed to be late in the year. The question is, are they withholding anything? And the interesting thing about this lineup is that the holiday season doesn't seem to have a Mario game, and I think Mario, especially in his 40th year anniversary, will probably get a game, to celebrate it, to coincide with that milestone. And obviously Mario Kart World itself coincides with this same milestone, but I do think that we will have a mainline Mario game as well for that slot. But it hasn't been announced yet, obviously. We don't have a 3D Mario game announced, and I'm not suggesting that 3D Mario will come out this holiday, because I think if it did, I think we probably would already know it, and I don't think they would want to have two big 3D platformers in the same year. Like Donkey Kong and Mario, they kind of overlap a little bit, I think, especially with how Odyssey like the Donkey Kong Bonanza is, and I'm sure they want to refine and make sure that Mario is perfect before releasing it, so probably not in the same year as their presumed other project. That kind of leaves a little bit of a vacuum, and a lot of people have assumed that there just won't be a thing in that place. They've announced the year, they've announced everything major coming this year, except from some ports, except from maybe some Switch 2 editions, and that it's reasonable to think that they have a strong enough lineup. But I do expect that we're going to get a Direct in June, just a couple weeks after the Switch 2 actually comes out, because June is the month that they have a Summer Direct, and it's been proven time and time again that in the June Direct they can announce their holiday title for the first time. Super Mario Bros. Wonder was announced for the first time in June 2023, and I think that is a quite poetic little thing there, because I think that the holiday title, the Mario 40th coinciding title, will actually be Super Mario Bros. Wonder 2. Now, where is this coming from? I mean, I don't think Mario Wonder 2 is really enough of a concept for people that it's really been talked about, like the idea of the actual name Mario Wonder 2. It hasn't really come in conversation, I don't think. I mean, for at least me, it hadn't been a thing that I'd really heard people talk about. And I think I was watching a video, so I kind of stole this idea from a video. But I know I saw a video, and they were talking about what could take the Mario slot for the holiday title. And one of the ideas was kind of an actual full-on sequel for Mario Wonder, and it got me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. Like, is this possible? Is it possible that Mario Wonder 2 could be this soon after Mario Wonder? Mario Wonder came out in October 2023, so if this comes out, around the same time, that would be 2 years after the original. And at first I thought, well, that's not enough time. They don't have enough time to make a full game in just 2 years. They take longer. But, all things considered, considering it would be a Wonder 2, like a continuation of the exact same style and just more ideas that they didn't have time to fit into DLC, I think 2 years is actually a reasonable amount of time for this kind of thing, especially if you think about how DLC tends to take a lot less. And if this is like basically DLC poured into a full-on game, then I think that 2 years could be more than enough, and I think it would be a pretty easy release for them. It would be a pretty easy release, but it would be a very high-profile one. Mario Wonder was obviously not nominated for Game of the Year, and it was very respected. And the concept behind Mario Wonder just suits itself for a sequel. I mean, it is the Galaxy effect, really, I think. I mean, Galaxy 2 happened because they had so many ideas. They wanted to even make a DLC with a bunch of, additional content, but then they just realized that there was just too much stuff they wanted to add. They just wanted the build upon the original concept and make a new game. And I think that would work especially well for Mario Wonder. Now, what's the main hook of Mario Wonder 2? What's the new thing that really gets people excited? Well, I think Mario Wonder already has the template down pretty well, because I think one of the main appeals of Mario Wonder was the fact that you could play as so many extended Mario Universe characters, just beyond Mario and Luigi and Toad and I guess Peach. You can also play as Daisy, you can also play as Nabbit, you can also play as Yoshi, and so there's a lot of characters playable in the game. And I think that gives you a little bit of leeway to maybe introduce other characters that you can play as in this. I mean, off the top of my head, you have Wario and Waluigi. Now, Wario is kind of interesting. Obviously, he has his own 2D platforming series, but it just doesn't seem like it's ever going to come back. So maybe to throw people a bone, you could have Wario in there, and you can even have a similar moveset to the Mario Land series. Or maybe not. That would be maybe a little bit of a disadvantage for people that don't pick him. And Waluigi being playable for the first time in a 2D Mario game, or even in a mainline Mario game, would be a huge deal. And he's a very popular character. It would be kind of similar to Daisy. If you want to go down the Daisy route, you obviously have Pauline, and you also have Rosalina. I mean, Rosalina would fit quite well, I think. I mean, Rosalina, it has kind of been put into 3D World before, so there's a lot of characters that you can choose to be a new option for people, because I think a lot of people didn't like that a lot of the cool character options were locked behind an easy mode, and so you could just have more options there. In addition, I think another concept in Wonder that I really quite liked was elephant suit. I guess it's not even a suit, it's just it turns you into an elephant, that elephant fruit. And I think one of the things with Wonder that I kind of wish was expanded upon more was that it wasn't just an elephant one, because it was just like everyone turns into an elephant and that's what it is. Like, it's just random, and I guess that's kind of part of the appeal of it. There's no logic behind it, but I think it'd be really cool if there were a handful of new animal fruits that just turn them into different animals. I mean, off the top of my head, I guess you could have a bird one. Maybe that can make you hover for a little bit more. That's just off the top of my head. There's several different animals that you could just do that, and it would be really funny to see these Mario characters now in this different animal suit, this different animal form. It would be really interesting, and there's a lot of potential there for just more shock. People are going to see that and be shocked by it. There's still going to be that shock factor, despite the fact that we've had time to live with Elephant Mario and Elephant Daisy as well. And then obviously, other normal power-ups, like we had the bubble flower, and we had like the drill mushroom, and then obviously the elephant costume one. And there's many other like different power-ups you could do. I mean, I think the drill one kind of was influenced from Mario Galaxy, and so if you want to go further there, you could even have a bee suit in this. There's many different power-ups that you can add to the series. You could even incorporate the Mega Mushroom, like Mario Kart has brought back into the series, and that was obviously in New Super Mario Bros. So there's plenty of that. And then beyond just the power-ups, you also have the badge system, which is, I thought it was really cool. I think that you could maybe shake up the badge system. I thought it was really cool, but I think there's more that you can do with the badge system. I think there's more that you can do with it. There's more badges that you can add. Maybe they can change the way it works a little bit. Just like maybe you could equip several. I know that might seem a little bit it's not unfair, but like it might seem a little bit overpowered to have multiple all at once. But at the same time, it adds like a sense of progression, I think. And so I think maybe being able to stack them, maybe not infinitely stack them, but just like stack them in certain combinations would actually be like a really, really good addition to the game that would really make it a lot better. Also for multiplayer, I think that you could, I think the online multiplayer could be a lot better. I think in Mario Wonder, I don't think you can actually have like people physically there for online, and I think that that could be a great addition here, especially with the game chat features. And they would want to promote online multiplayer a lot more than couch co-op like they did for Wonder, because I think the Switch 2 is just more online centric than the original Switch was. And then, beyond that, I think the main thing, I think this is I left the best for last. I think that they should have better bosses. And this is not all this stuff is it's not including new Wonder gimmicks, because that's just a given. Like different settings, different Wonder gimmicks for each level. It goes without saying. There'll be plenty of that. Plenty of I hope the locations get kind of interesting. I mean, you could even tap into some 3D Mario locations. You could even go to like a city area. I don't know if I want to take too much from Odyssey, but I think it'd be really cool to have like even more different world settings for a 2D Mario game. But going back to the boss fights, in Mario Wonder, I think the final boss was pretty cool, but then every other boss was just Bowser Jr. and he looked pretty cool, but then it was just very uninteresting. And then there was another type of boss fight that wasn't even a boss fight. It was just this machine that you kind of go and press the button on, and it's done. It's just like there's so much potential for boss fights, and I think after playing Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, those bosses really incorporated platforming. So I think what you could do is you could make these bosses like full on, like maybe you could even make like a very regular boss that it's quite simple. You stamp on him 3 times and he breaks and whatever, and like maybe a different pattern each time. But then a Wonder Flower comes up and it kind of messes up the stage, and it remixes that same boss with the same strategy, but to the extreme. I think boss fights, that's the number one thing you need to do, and I'm not sure who the bosses would be. I really wish that the bosses in Mario would just be like weird and out there, instead of just being Bowser Jr. or just the Koopalings. But in this case, why not bring back the Koopalings? If you don't want to make original animals, original creatures, original characters for these bosses, then why don't you just bring back the Koopalings? I think they've had enough of a hiatus now. I think we've got over our New Super Mario Bros. Trauma, so why not bring them back for it, just for variety's sake? But there's a lot of potential there, and I think that is maybe the main sticking point for me. But I've kind of rambled on about a Wonder 2, and this is just a concept. This is just an idea that I had, and I do think it is entirely possible. I think that maybe Mario Wonder 2 is actually more likely than we've kind of been giving it credit for. In the past, 2D Mario games actually have had sequels quite regularly. Obviously, Mario World had several sequels. Obviously Yoshi's Island was a sequel to World, and obviously New Super Mario Bros. Has a lot of different sequels. And I think maybe the idea of Wonder 2 was maybe something that we kind of put away, because the whole idea of Wonder was to try and not be samey, and you don't want the 2D Mario to just be samey, but now Wonder samey. And I think that this kind of gets away with it because of how out there and creative it just inherently is. That a sequel, I think, would be well received by people. I think people would be excited about it. I think that I absolutely think it should happen, and I think that it makes sense to be the big 40th anniversary holiday game. It's a quick turnaround, I imagine, and I just think that it would, if it fixes and it builds upon the things I said, then I think it could be like easily, far and away the best 2D Mario game of all time. But what do you think? Do you think that I'm kind of babbling on about a concept that I came up with that has absolutely no possibility of happening, or do you think that I'm actually right, and do you think that you expect it to show up in June? Just let me know down below. And if you don't think Mario Wonder's happening, in the holiday, what do you think the Mario game will be? We could get Mario Maker 3, for example. We could get Luigi's Mansion 4. These are 2 other possible outcomes. I think maybe Mario Maker 3 might be a bit too soon. It's only been 2 years since Wonder, so I think it's a little less realistic to have an entire Mario Maker game in that same time, whereas an asset reuse for Mario Wonder is a little bit more realistic. But as I said, let me know what you think down below, and if you have any ideas, any specific concepts, in terms of improving the Mario Wonder for a sequel, or just cool creative additions that they can just have that you think would be really cool, just let me know down below. And thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.